Hello, welcome back to our series, Mary, Mother of Jesus, Mother of God. This is part 7. We are in part 7C, the continuation of a number of selected apparitions and their messages of Mary. Let's get right into the first of these apparitions in this series, and that is Our Lady of Laus. Laus is in France, Mary appeared in 1664, and that white dot there in the southern part of France is Laus. There is Mary appearing to the young lady. This is the buildings and the monasteries that have grown up, and the church dedicated to Mary of Laus. She was known as the Reconciler and the Refuge of Sinners. It was investigated by the Bishop of Embrun in 1712. The apparitions began in May 1664 when Benoit Rencourel, an unschooled 16-year-old shepherdess, saw a dazzling lady standing on a rock holding a no less beautiful child in her arms. It was approved on Sunday, May 4th, 2008. This is the one we mentioned in an earlier series of being the most recent approval. But it was approved in the Basilica of Notre Dame in Laus. The Bishop of Gap and Embrun, Monsignor Jean-Michel de Falco-Leandri, announced the official approval of the church. And the last apparition was on Christmas Day, 1718. And the visionary was Sister Benoit Rencourel. She's been declared venerable on the way to sainthood in 1871 and beatified, so she's now blessed in 1984. The number of apparitions for 4 months, they were daily. The miracles and signs known to occur at Laus is the overwhelming fragrance of flowers. Cures of all kinds abounded, and sinners were converted in great numbers. In summary, the Marian apparitions given to a young shepherdess, Benoit Benedicta Rencourel, an event that took place in Laus, close to Avranches in the Haute-Alpes, south of France, between 1664 and 1718. Benoit was born in 1647 into a life of poverty. Her father died when she was 7. Her mother struggled to make ends meet. She worked as a shepherdess and was devoted to the rosary. At the age of 17, Our Lady appeared to her for the first time, holding a beautiful child in her arms. Our Lady appeared as the Reconciler and the Refuge of Sinners. Benoit was chosen to pray for sinners and assist in their conversion. For this task, she was granted many graces, including the ability to read hearts. Mary encouraged her to speak to those with grave sins that they might change their ways. She asked Benoit to admonish girls and women who were living lives of scandal, especially those who commit abortion. Benoit was able to see which souls were in darkness or light and would discourage those about to receive the Eucharist in sin from doing so. Her task under Mary's direction was also to approach priests in error and advise them to correct their faults, especially in carrying out their ministries. For several years, Benoit experienced the passion of Christ in her body, known as the stigmata, having at one point been shown a crown of roses and a crown of thorns. She chose the thorns. Her mission was tested by those who refused to believe her authenticity. Our Lady asked her for a chapel to be built at Laus, where many sinners would come and be converted. She told Benoit she had been granted this by our Lord for the conversion of sinners. The words are, I asked my son for Laus for the conversion of sinners, and he granted it to me. Now, when the first stones of the chapel were laid on October 7, 1666, the Dominican fathers attended, and Benoit soon after became a Dominican tertiary. That's the third order of St. Dominic. From then on, she wore the tertiary veil and cape, and people began calling her Sister Benoit. One of the key signatures of these apparitions was the overwhelming fragrance of flowers which manifested when Our Lady was present. On occasion, this scent would fill the valley. On March 18, 1700, Benoit's guardian angel had told her that, quote, the Laus devotion is the work of God, which neither man nor the devil can destroy. It will continue until the end of the world, flourishing more and bearing great fruit everywhere. Benoit was 71 years old when she died in the odor of sanctity. Sister Benoit Rencourel was declared venerable in 1871 and beatified, as we said, in 1984. The church in Laos was raised to the rank of a minor basilica in 1893. The apparition of Laos was declared genuine and is the first in the 21st century to be approved. Mary's message was, I asked my son Phalaus for the conversion of sinners, and he granted it to me. Another time she said, tell the girls of St. Stephen's to sing the Litany of the Blessed Virgin in the church every evening, with the permission of the prior, and you will see that they will do it. And then she said, I am Mary, the mother of Jesus. You will not see me here any more, nor for some time. And again she says, no, soon nothing will be lacking here, neither vestments, nor altar, linens, nor candles. I want a large church built in this spot, along with a building for a few resident priests. The church will be built in honor of my dear son and myself. There are many sinners who will be converted. I will appear to you often here. And again, the message, pray continually for sinners. Another French apparition, Our Lady of La Salette, 1846. Here are the two seers, Pierre Maxime Giraud and Francois Melanie Calvat Mathieu. He was 11, she was 15. There's a statue of Mary. She appeared, they first saw her, she was crying, and here is Mary standing up. This is the area of the apparition as it appears today, a monastery, and a place for visitors is there. The two statues on the side of the hill right here. The ones you see her in her crying position and standing, talking position. The facts are, she's known as Our Lady of La Salette. The Bishop of Grenoble, Monsignor de Briard, investigated it. The first apparition appeared on Saturday, September 19th, in 1846. It was approved by the Bishop of Grenoble in 1851. The last apparition was July 28th, 1903. As we said, the visionaries are Melanie Calvat, who was 15, and Maximum Giraud, who was 11. There's only one apparition. The miracles and signs were predominantly cures. In summary, neither of the child visionaries led particularly saintly or religious lives after the apparition. Maximum fell under the spell of unscrupulous people who used him for his notoriety. He led an unhappy and wandering life, taking a variety of odd jobs. He died on March 1st, 1875, at the age of 39. Melanie attempted to live as a Carmelite nun a few times, but eventually returned to the secular world. She began to espouse her own prophecies and mystical dogmas, and unsuccessfully tried to develop a personal following. She died at Altamura, Italy, on December 15th, 1904. The message was, Mary said that if my people do not wish to submit themselves, I am forced to let go of the hand of my son. It is so heavy, and weighs me down so much I can no longer keep hold of it. I've suffered all the time for the rest of you. If you do not wish my son to abandon you, I must take it upon myself to pray for this continually. And the rest of you think little of this. In vain you will pray, in vain you will act, and you will never be able to make up for the trouble I have taken over for the rest of you. I gave you 6 days to work. I kept the 7th for myself. And no one wishes to grant it to me. This is what weighs down the arm of my son so much. Then her mother asked them, do you say your prayers well, my children? Not very well, madam, they answered. She continued, you must be sure to say them well morning and evening. When you cannot do better, say at least an Our Father and a Hail Mary, but when you have time, say more. Those who drive carts cannot swear without adding my son's name. These are the two things which weigh down the arm of my son so much. And if the harvest is spoiled, it is only because of you others. I made you see this last year with the potatoes. You took little account of this. It was quite the opposite when you found bad potatoes. You swore oaths, and you included the name of my son. They will continue to go bad. At Christmas, there will be none left. And the next apparition is happened in Belgium in 1932, Our Lady of Beauraing. These are the visionaries, Fernande Voisin, who was 15, André, who was 9, and Gilbert, 14, Degenbray, and Albert Voisin, who was 11. These are the seers. This is the area where the visions occurred, and this is a statue of Our Lady of Beauraing. She is known as the Virgin with the Golden Heart. It was investigated in 1949. The first apparition was November 29th in 1932. It was approved in July 2nd, 1949 by the Bishop of Namur. The last apparition was January 3rd, 1933. And the visionaries, their names are again: Fernando Voisin, 15, André de Gembray, 14, Gilbert Voisin, 11, and Gilberte de Gembray, who was 9. There were 33 apparitions in 1932. The miracles and signs include miraculous cures and existence of a fireball. We'll see that. Mary is believed to have come 33 times to the playground of a convent school to 5 children, identifying herself as the Immaculate Virgin and Mother of God, Queen of Heaven. She called for prayer and the conversion of sinners. Her messages included urging the children to pray and sacrifice. She asked that people pray much, that a chapel be built. That was in the December 17th appearance in 1932. That people come here in pilgrimage, repeated in December 23rd. She promised the conversion of sinners. During the last 5 apparitions, she showed a heart of gold surrounded by rays on her chest. During the 4th apparition on December 4th and the 7th on December 21st, she declared herself to be the Immaculate Virgin. During the last apparition on January 3rd, 1833, she added, "I will convert sinners. I am the Mother of God, the Queen of Heaven." 20,000 persons were present that day. She urged the children and everyone, and it behooves us to pay attention. She said, pray, pray, pray. The next apparition is called Our Lady of All Nations. It occurred in Amsterdam, Netherlands in 1945. There is what Mary appeared in her apparition. This is the chapel of Our Lady of All Nations in Diepenbrockstedt 3 in Amsterdam South. The title of the apparition is Our Lady of All Nations, and investigated in May 7th, 1956. The Bishop of Haarlem finds no evidence of the supernatural nature of the apparitions and prohibits public veneration. The first apparition occurred on March 25th, 1945, but it was approved on the 32nd of May, 2002. Bishop Joseph Marianus Punt of Haarlem, having concluded a period of investigation, declared the apparitions to the Ida Perdaman of Amsterdam, Holland, approved. The last apparition was May 31st, 1959, and the visionary was Ida Perdaman. There were 56 apparitions lasting 14 years. The miracles and signs were the words of Mary, as you'll see in a moment. The revelations of Ida Perdaman by the Lady of All Nations emphasize the importance of the Eucharist and portray in detail the events that precede and that will bring about the triumph of the Immaculate Heart. Most importantly, the declaration of the final Marian dogma of Mary as the Lady of All Nations, co-redemptrix, mediatrix, and advocatrix. The Virgin said that she would give no signs other than her words to validate her appearance. She said, "You are as yet unable to appreciate my words. My signs are inherent in my words." That was May 31st, 1955. Again, she says, "Now I will give a reply to those who have asked for a sign. To all of them I say, my signs are contained in my words, O you of little faith. You are like children who insist on fireworks, whereas they have no eyes for the true light and for the true fire." May 31st, 1957. Her words were revelations and predictions. For instance, she predicted the deaths of 3 popes. In February 19th, 1958, she predicted the death of Pope Pius XII in October of the same year. On June 11th, 1978, she predicted the death of Pope Paul VI less than 2 months later. And on September 28th, 1978, the death of Pope John Paul I the following day. In addition to these revelations, Ida also was made aware of the identity of 2 future popes on 2 separate occasions, namely Pope Paul VI Cardinal Montini, on May 31st, 1963, and Pope John Paul II on October 15th, 1978. The messages of Our Lady of All Nations contain these prophecies: the convening of the Second Vatican Council II, preparations of bacteriological weapons, Prophecy dated December 26, 1947. What was called another great catastrophe for the world against West and coming from the East on June 9, 1946. The war in the Balkans, May 7, 1949, October 1, 49, May 27, 1950, August 15th the same year, and August 27, 1977. A terrible pain coming over India on April 14, 1950. The struggle in Rome against the Pope on June 9, 1946. The Chernobyl nuclear plant meltdown, December 10, 1950. The dissent regarding celibacy, May 31, 1956, and May 3, 1957. The 1949 communist takeover of China, October 7, 1945. The division of Korea into North and South, August 15, 1950, and December 10, 1950. The changing of the fasting requirement to receive Holy Eucharist, January 25, 1951. The construction of the Berlin Wall, this is rather impressive. February 14, 1950, and August 15, 1950, and December 10, 1950. The turmoil and battles within Jerusalem, December 26, 1947, March 28, 1948. Troubled times in Taiwan, August 15, 1950, and again in December 10, 1950. I want to end with a current apparition, well known in some parts of the world, Our Lady of the Eucharist and Grace in the Philippines in 1991. Before you see on the left, you see the seer. His name is Carmelo Cortez, a young man married with children. This is the church that Mary asked be built, and this is her appearance. Beautiful and white, with her heart standing out, a host on the heart, and a circle of stars, a rosary in one hand and scapular in the other, Our Lady of Eucharist and Grace. This is really the San Francisco del Monte in Quezon City, Philippines, known as the Mother of Eucharist and Grace. I have no date for an investigation, but the first apparition was August 15th, 1991. It was approved and continues to be approved. The Most Reverend Rolando Tria Tirone, Bishop of Malolos, with the Most Reverend Cirillo Almario Jr., Bishop Emeritus of the diocese, officiated the groundbreaking for the church, and the church was consecrated by Most Reverend Jose Olivaros, Bishop of Malolos, with Most Reverend Cirillo Almario, Bishop Emeritus of the diocese of Malolos, and Most Reverend Ruben Profugo, Bishop Emeritus of the diocese of Lucena. The apparitions are ongoing. The seer's name is Carmelo Cortez. I have met him. The number of apparitions are over 100 apparitions and interlocutions. The signs and miracles include rose petals and rose oil, and of course numerous healings, and they continue. In summary, on June 12, 2007, the Diocesan Shrine of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist and Grace, the House of Prayer, was elevated to a diocesan shrine by the Most Reverend Jose Oliveros. Joining with him were Bishop Almario and Bishop Deo Yignes, Bishop of Profugo, and the clergy from different dioceses. These are the two miracles. What you're looking at across the top are three images of three rose petals, and then fourth one. The rose petals are broken from the rose by twisting. They're separated, and after prayer, Carmelo takes a rose petal and places it on a person's chest and asks you not to look at it until everyone has received a petal. And then after praying, people look at it, and these are some of the images they receive. On a fragile white rose petal, there's the Last Supper, as you can see. This looks like the Virgin Mary and the child Jesus. There is the Virgin Mary hovering over John Paul II with his recognizable crozier. And this is another close-up of the head of Jesus and the crown of thorns. They're incredible. They can only be miracles. How would an image ever be imprinted on a fragile rose petal? And this image goes right through. It's nothing stamped on. And at the bottom here, we see a young man looking down into what appears to be a hole in the ground. Yes, this is a well that Mary caused to spring up that contains rose oil for anointing. The message of Our Lady, very important, is pray the rosary every day. She said, go to confession, go to Mass, receive Holy Communion. And then again she said, I will give you, speaking of Carmelo, I will give you the gift of healing. Visit the sick, especially those soon to follow me to my Son's kingdom. And again she said, I ask you again, pray the rosary, offer sacrifices every day. Love the priests who will help you. Never get angry with them. And again, pray the rosary so that any forthcoming calamity in your country can be stopped. Many people pray, but they pray not from the heart and without faith in the Lord. Return to the Catholic Church through the body of my Son. Love and pray for priests in the Church. And other times he said, continue to pray and continue to heal all kinds of illnesses. I bless your hands as a sign of the gift of healing. This is a response of a reporter who attended not only one of the healing services, but received rose petals and was anointed with oil. And the reporter says, Cortez took a flower from a vase of fresh white roses which he had brought. He then took the petals from the stalk by removing the sepal, the top, all the petal part. One by one, Carmela placed a petal on our shoulders as we said our prayers. After a few moments, we were asked to take a look at the petals. To our astonishment, what were originally plain white rose petals had now on them the image of the crucified Christ. Others present cried in exultation as images of the Madonna, the Sacred Heart, Mother and Child, St. Joseph and Child, St. Francis of Assisi, and many others appeared on their petals. Mary has also caused a well in the ground to spring up and produce rose oil, which is used as an anointing oil for the sick. Scientific analysis has verified that the oil is a high-density, pure form of rose oil that was pressed from a large source of rose petals. In fact, the scientists who performed the examination, not knowing where it came from or what it was, declared it to be such a pure form of rose oil. They asked, where did you ever find so many rose petals to press for such pure rose oil? This ends our series then, part 7 on Mary, the series or apparitions. You can go on now to the last part 8, Mary, the series, prayer 2 and prayer